I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're talking about VidCon and GenCon. Basically, it was my first time doing a vacation and double con weekend, so all very exciting. Thanks to Yo Mama, the channel that I animate for paying for my flight to get to VidCon. I really appreciate it, guys. Essentially, they had a party that they really wanted me to go to, and so they kind of paid for my flight, and I got to double dip with some VidCon as well as some vacation time, which was pretty cool, except for I got sick towards the end of that. That wasn't so much fun, but the actual convention itself was pretty decent. First off, Thursday was kind of a downer day. If you followed me on Twitter, you realized I was kind of complaining a lot. Mostly, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make it to the 6 o'clock flight to get to LA at 9 o'clock in the morning, which, keep in mind that 3 o'clock Eastern time, and by the time I got to LA, it was 9 o'clock Pacific time. And with that basically means I've been up for like 8 to 9 hours, and it was only 9 o'clock in the morning by the time I got to California. So that was that day never ended. Literally never ended. It was really frustrating because it was like, just decide and go down. I just want to sleep. That's my first like actual case of jet lag, and it was not fun. By the time I got to actual VidCon, keep in mind now it's about like noon. I wound up waiting in 2-hour line for my badge. It turns out there's like 19,000 people at this convention. 600 to 800 of them are waiting in line, and there's 3 types of badges you can get. Community, where you get to go in the main floor, and that's about it. The creator badge, which is what I got, would cost about the double of community, but you get to go to the second floor and go to panels and chill out some lounge rooms. And then there's industry, which is like double what creator was, and you get to a 3rd floor with even better panels. If I go next year, I'll try to get the industry badge. It seems to be the one that's worth the most. Community, I don't think it's really worth it, but it's obviously not skewed towards me. But I waited in line for an hour and a half in the curator line, and then someone goes up and is like, everyone in here is community, right? And I go, no, creator, it says creator. And he goes, wow, we moved creator into the industry lines. And I'm like, you couldn't have put up a sign? Because keep in mind that this line is really, really long, and the industry one's very, very short. And there was an hour and a half of me waiting, and this line never moved at all. Like, no movement whatsoever. It was super frustrating, because all they did was scan in a thing and hand you your badge. I don't know how that was taking so long in the other lines. I don't know if community has a longer process or what. And it's not that people were buying their badges that day because you couldn't have bought your badge. They were sold out for months. And so I finally got my badge, and I walked through, and I find out that the main floor is basically a bunch of brands trying to sell you on their brands. And it's very commercial, and I'm not a fan, I'm sorry, but I go through there, and it's very juvenile. Like, you have Maker Studios having a DJ, and it's like, we love the 90s, and it's like, that's cool, I guess. And then there's like a thing where you could jump into a pit ball, and you get like a pillow, that's an emoticon, great. You could pose with the Ninja Turtles, okay. But essentially, it's just like Nickelodeon had a section, and it's like, Nickelodeon's cool because they brought out video games. They had a thing where you could play Mario Kart on a big screen, and, take a picture with the Ninja Turtles, or play some old school arcade games like Pac-Man. Maker's cool because they're playing music. I don't know, it just wasn't really my thing. And also, I've never felt so old before. I'm only 25, and like, everyone skewed. I think like the average age was probably like 17 or 18, and it was just kind of weird. Like you basically, it was like a bunch of like fangirls running around, and then like one occasional like old man in a suit that's for the industry panels, and then like occasionally someone my age, and I just never felt so out of place. And it's weird because it's a YouTube convention and I'm on YouTube. Pro tip, don't be a cartoon character and go to VidCon. No one's going to recognize you. I did run into about 12 fans, which is really cool. 12 to 18. I don't count, but it was somewhere around there, and that was neat. There was like a little kid that was really excited to meet me. I gave him a hug. I gave him an indie pop card. I gave him my trading card, just like, hey, here you go. And then, took a picture, and it was really fun. Ran into one guy. His name was, I think, Tyler, I think. He had a camera, and I'm on someone's vlog somewhere. But overall, Thursday was kind of like, oh, man. By 3 o'clock, I was ready to leave. Keep in mind that I've been up for over 12 hours, and it's hot. I was just like, all right, I'm complaining. I'm not having a good time. Let's get out of here. So I left, went home. I swam with some friends, got some real ramen. They live next door to this Asian like market, and so we had like real ramen, some bubble tea, and we just had a good time. Just kind of not going. I'm the worst YouTuber ever. I just left VidCon. I did run into Wade, Lord Minion. I ran into Wade, Lord Minion 777, guy that I've animated for multiple times. You've seen the Wade Adventures with Five Nights at Freddy's, which, by the way, I am working on a new one. It was really cool to actually hang out with the guy. We've been friends since PopCon 1, and each year we seem to be getting busier and busier at PopCon. So it was really nice just to hang out. He had a lot more, like, it's funny because, like, to Markiplier, to him, to me, like, Markiplier obviously overshadows him, but he overshadows me. So, like, when I'm hanging out with him, he always gets stopped, and there's always people like, oh, yeah, you know, and I occasionally get like, so, do you know where Wade's at? And then for them, they only go to Wade and be like, do you know where Markiplier's at? But, yeah. It was really cool to finally hang out with him. Hung out with Patrick, his girlfriend, Day, who's a up-and-coming animator. It was just really cool to meet, you know, his entourage. So the following day was a lot more fun. I found out the creator badge let me go upstairs, which was cool. And I got to set in a couple of panels. One was about mental health. The other one was about being creative on YouTube. For the most part, those are the only two panels that really sparked my interest. I did miss the animation panel that had like the creator of Bee and Puppy Cat and a few other people from Frederator, which I guess is okay because I actually wound up hanging out with actual animators, which was really, really cool. I ran into Red Minus, James, and Max from Toonocracy, and Zentih Quinn. These are people that I've been hanging out with on the internet for like the last 2 years, and I'm finally actually hanging out with them, so that was neat. So I realized midway through, I was like, oh crap, I missed the animation panel. Oh well, this is my animation panel, and I really enjoy him. Red Minus is a really suave guy. He's got an awesome like goatee going on, and just really cool, chill guy, really nice. He just like popped up and just like, hello, Steve. It was funny. James, really cool guy. Max, really cool. They're all really cool guys. Zentih Quinn, I like teasing him about not being able to pronounce TH words. He's from I think Ireland. He's got an accent. It's cute. But yeah, so like Saturday night was the big party, the golden ticket party. With this golden ticket, you could get into the party. This was a little ridiculous, to be honest. Basically, Rise 9, it's Yamama's and Animeme's creators' new project with 6 other guys, or 5 other guys. There's 6 of them. They're called Rise 9 because you can't quite hit a 10 every time. I think that's what they meant. But anyways, so they threw a party. It was a big mansion party. The only way to get to the party was you had to bring this to a landing spot, and then a limo bus would come pick you up and take you to the party. If you knew the address of the place, they would not let you on the premises. You had to come through bus. Yeah. So I finally get to the limo party, and it was me, James, Max, Colin, the guy who created Lloyd the Rockin' Unicorn, and a couple other guys we just met, such as the creators of Princess Rap Battles, and one of the guys that worked on Avatar. That was cool. But yeah, we're riding on this party bus. There's a nice little, like, stripper pole in the middle of our little thing, and there's drinks around. We get there, and Oompa Loompas are serving us drinks on a red carpet. I really had to pee, so I just kind of skipped that nonsense and went straight to the bathroom. And I found Mermaids. If you follow me on social media, Instagram or Twitter, that's all I talk about is the Mermaids. But it's not every day you run into people paid to be dressed as mermaids and swimming in a pool for a party. But yeah, so far this party had Oompa Loompas, mermaids. They also had a lady who was a human statue, just paid to stand still. She had a lampshade over her head, spray painted gold. At one point, they replaced the lampshade with a chandelier with actual fire. That was impressive. And there's just, you know, a lot of alcohol. There was vape pens for free. I don't really smoke, so I didn't partake in that. But it was nicotine-free tobacco machines. You can tell how hip I am. There was free alcohol. Everything was like 70 proof. There was a wall of candy, cupcakes, 2 pools, and Oculus Rift. There was just a lot of stuff going on. And it was just really cool to finally hang out with some people that I've been talking to for so long, including Zach and Alex, who are the creators of Yamama. They've been paying me for 2 years, and I finally just met them. I also ran into Steve Cardinal, Brock Baker, Brizzy Voices. Not at that party, I had a different one, but I ran into a lot of really cool YouTubers. And so overall, that night was really good. It was a very surreal night. I wasn't expecting to, you know, hang out with so many cool people. Andy Milanakos was there. Tabascus sung to me. It's just a really cool night. Also, Jaximoto, Jaxie and Tomar, they were there. They were really cool. Jaxie was a little drunk, but Tomar, we had a nice little conversation about animation and voice acting. I was really excited to meet them. Dalton and Emmy of Gel Toy was going to introduce me to them, but got to, got to meet them and schmooze with them at a party. Cool. I got back home and went to bed, and the next day was another VidCon day. I ran into Nice Peter, Nostalgia Chick, Megan Tonje, hung out with Will Terrell the entire day, which was really, really cool. And then I went to a maker party, Maker Studios, Markiplier, PewDiePie, Polaris, all of them. They had a party. Apparently it was really, really big, and Wade invited me to the party. So I was like, all right, I'll go. I get to this party, and there is like this 2 hour, really long, it was actually an impossible line. You were not able to get in if you were in the line, essentially. They RSVP'd 1,500 people, but due to fire codes, only 400 people could be allowed at the party at any given time. So it was one of those, like, hype up things. Well, Wade told me he got a ticket for me to get in, so I call him, and he's like, hey, can you get to the front? And I'm like, all right, let's do this. And so I'm like, I'm sorry. Just push people through, get to the front. And I'm like, all right. Which is the thing I hate the most. I don't like pushing people, so I'm just like, I'm sorry. Thank you. I get to the front, there's Wade, as well as Markiplier. Markiplier whispers into a guy's thing. He's like, hey, get that guy in. And I'm like, all right. And so, like, I get pulled through, get stamped, and now I'm at a maker party, standing next to Wade and Markiplier. I thank Markiplier for letting me in. He goes, hey, any friend of Wade's is a friend of mine. I'm like, awesome, cool. I don't know why my Markiplier impression sounds like an 80s villain. 90s villain. More like somewhere after Beast Wars, but before Ben 10. That's that voice. But anyways, so I didn't want to bother him too much, so I walk off. I get me a drink, and I ran to Brizzy Voices. She told me she loved PopCon, which is great. And I ran to Ron Dyke, who is a bigger guy. Not necessarily as in like size as large, but more like he's really tall. I wasn't expecting like him just to be a massive man, and he's really cool. Had a small conversation with him, but for the most part, this was a giant party full of people that are the who's who of things, and I don't know half of them. I know a few people. I know Brizzy, I know Ron Dyke, I know Ross, I know Holly, I know Markiplier, but like for the most part, I don't know many of the people that are actually at this convention, or not the convention, but at this party, and I just felt awkward to be like, hey, what's up? All right, well, I don't know you, bye. You know what I mean? So I want to hung out with Wade a little bit, and Wade's just like, hey man, we're going to leave the party soon. We don't really like it. And I'm like, really? Because I did not enjoy myself either. I just felt really bad after Mark, doing so much to get me in for me to want to leave. So I was just going to kind of like, drink a couple of free booze and just kind of chill there. And he's like, hey, do you want to go to Mark's thing? And we're going to go play Cards Against Humanity. So here I am with Mark's group of friends, Ross from Game Grumps, Holly, and then, of course, Markiplier and Wade. And here we are in Mark's room playing Cards Against Humanity, which, by the way, Mark's the cheater. He took a whole deck, and he was going through the whole thing to play. It was kind of adorable. He got kind of upset that people weren't reading the cards like he was reading them, and he proceeded to read them. Funny guy. I think Wade was probably the funniest the entire night, and it was really cool to actually kind of hang out with Ross and Holly. Granted, they're on the other side of the room, and I only got to say a couple of words, but Ross did follow me on Twitter, and Holly followed me on Instagram. In particular, I know a lot of people get really excited about, like, the other Grumps, but for me, Ross is an animator, so that's awesome. Holly's an artist, that's who I want to get to know. I like artists. I don't just want to meet famous people. I want to meet the animators and artists, so that was cool. That was exciting for me. I did have to leave a little early. I left about midnight because I was starting to feel kind of sick. I thought I had con crud. Turns out it was allergies. Turns out if you go from a humid area to a dry area, you get sick pretty quickly. So yeah, I found that out and kind of spent the next couple of days feeling miserable. So after VidCon, I basically kind of hung out with Will Terrell, did an artist meetup, and I went to a couple of studios. There was a little bit of a mix-up. I thought I was going with some friends. They turned out they're not going with me, and I got a little bummed out because after I made that vlog about me being sick and going to studios, I was like, shit, I'm not going to go to any. And midway through the day, my friend James from Tunocracy, he's just like, oh man, you're not going? No. He drove an hour from LA to the place I was staying and back into LA just to take me and Zentih Quinn to Frederator Studios, and got to hang out with Frederator Studios, and I got a nice little puppy cat. I got me a puppy cat. They gave me this. I took a tour. I didn't get to meet the creators of Being Puppy Cat or Chalk Zone, but they were in this studio. They were just really busy. I did get to meet their YouTube team, and I did get to interact with some of the people that are working on the shows, which was really neat. I got a little bit of a tidbit on how to do character sheets from one of the character artists, and I got to see some of the reasons why the show hasn't out yet is because if you're wondering like where Being Puppy Cat is, they send the animation's done in Korea, and they get back and it's not accurate, so they keep going through, and they're going through every frame, drawing on top of it and sending it back to them about how it's supposed to look. And there's some hilarious stuff. For example, apparently at one point the Koreans thought that Puppy Cat had Bee's voice, and so there's just Bee's voice coming out of Puppy Cat's mouth. And then I just hung out with James and Zentih the rest of the day. James took me out to some Asian restaurant, which, by the way, they're essentially just Asian restaurants. I don't know if there's actual other food except for In-N-Out Burger and Asian food at California, but that's what I had the entire time. By the way, In-N-Out Burger, not that special. It's just a run-of-the-mill burger joint. It's cheap. It's essentially just McDonald's with real beef. I don't know. I didn't see anything special about it. Apparently, you're supposed to keep eating it, and eventually you fall in love with it through Stockholm Syndrome. That's how it was explained to me. Not in those words, but that's how I read it. Overall, my California experience was great. It was really nice. The weather is amazing. And compared to, like, Indiana, where, like, it's super, like, humid and there's, like, sticky stuff, I didn't know what that was until I went to California and found out that there's just this dry. You can have heat and not be miserable. It was amazing. I didn't get to go to the ocean, me being sick, and just didn't really have friends that were, like, open to the idea. Most people, it was just an average day. You know, my friends live in California, so they still had their jobs or what they were working on. And so I didn't get to do a lot of cool stuff, but I definitely am interested in going to California. Again, I know that Will, a few other people are really desperate to get me to move up there. It's super expensive, so I don't know how likely that is, but I would not complain if I end up living in California, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, so that's my VidCon experience. Let's talk about GenCon. So, to compare GenCon to VidCon, VidCon was kind of like SIGGRAPH for tweens. If you're an animator, you probably know about SIGGRAPH. Essentially, it's a conference, not so much a convention. It's a place where you go to learn about things that you want to buy. GenCon, on the other hand, is a place where you go to buy things. Everyone's planning to spend a couple of $100 to $1,000 on merchandise. And I only went half the time because GenCon's a little expensive, a little too rich for my blood. Sorry, it's about $100 for the weekend, $50 per day, versus like Indie PopCon or any other convention in the Midwest where it's $25 a day and, you know, $50 for the whole weekend. So it's basically double the price, but it's also really, really big. 200,000 people showed up to the convention in comparison to the 19,000 that was at VidCon and the 24,000 that was at Indie PopCon. So you can kind of see where they can justify it. I also don't really like how they treat artists. They have Artist Alley, which is the most expensive booths to purchase in Indiana, and then they also take 10% of the cut, which I guess with how big it is, the artists aren't losing so much compared to other conventions. I still find that very frustrating. However, I did get a couple of cool things that I want to share with you guys. I'm a big fan of Boss Monster, and I got this promo card. It's essentially a Kickstarter card, but I got it for free for going to GenCon. Speaking of Boss Monster, I got Boss Monster 2. I'm excited to actually try this out. I don't know what the difference is between the two games. Hopefully I get some friends to play with. I also got the expansion to Zombicide. I got this for free, actually, on the last day. The guy was just like, hey, you want this? And I'm like, yes. The creator of Devil's Panties, a webcomic, was there, and I got this nice little activity book. I'm excited about this because it's just an activity book where you're supposed to draw in what the word balloons are supposed to be saying, and a lot of it's some really kinky stuff. My friends at the Nekuabra, my friends at the Maid Cafe that I go to made me this little Moi Steven. My friend Catherine released her book, and it premiered at GenCon. It was a Kickstarter exclusive, and I picked up my copy from her. If you're not familiar with Catherine, she's Rigo Channel on the live streams, and she does some really quality work. For those who watch my fan mail opening box, Nikki made this little thing for me. And she drew in the first page, right, with a nice little Mabel. So I decided to make this into a community sketchbook where I'm going to get artists I follow to draw in it. So I got Commander Holly to draw in this book. And the Devil's Panties drew a nice little penis. I asked her to draw anything, and she said, okay. Every time someone does that, they get a singing penis. I also ran into a couple of fans, and I'm going to do another fan unboxing, and I'll reveal those stuff then. I know that a couple of people are sending me some stuff, so I need to be excited. I'm also going to be doing a tablet review, which I just got for free by Yugi. They just Yugi. They sent me a graphics tablet to test out on my channel, and I'm going to be recording that soon and let you guys know how I feel about that. If it's good, I'm not going to replace my Zentih, so I might give away this tablet to someone. And yeah, a lot of cool things are happening on the Rising. I also have a Patreon. If you're this far into the video, you're probably a die-hard fan. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, I just started up Patreon again. And it's a monthly. There's some cool rewards. And this is kind of a soft announcement. I'll be making a Patreon video soon enough. Hope you guys enjoy the videos. And, you know, tell me about your vacation stuff down below. You know, let's start a conversation. And follow me on Twitter and all the other stuff. Subscribe if you haven't. I don't know why you're watching this video if you're not subscribed. And, yeah. So, have a good day, guys. And stay awesome. Appreciate you so much.